you all for being here this evening. Our regular council meeting, of November 12th, 2015. Good to see you all tonight. If everyone would please stand, I'm going to lead us in our invocation of blessed and flesh. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for all that you've done for us. We thank you for the opportunity to gather together to transact city business. Lord, we just pray that you would give each one of us courage and wisdom to do the things that you would have us to do. We ask that you bless everything that is said and done tonight, that it would help to move this city forward, that it would be ultimately to bring honor and glory to you. And Lord, again, we just thank you for everything that you have done. Thank you for your love. These things we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Janet, roll call, please.
Mayor Lambert.
Here.
Vice Mayor Garrett.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Here.
Councilmember Manning.
Here.
Councilmember Sewell.
Here.
Interim City Manager Williams.
Here.
City Attorney Norton.
Here. Gentlemen, I trust everyone has had opportunity to review the items in the consent agenda. That would include the minutes from the October 29th agenda work session, as well as the minutes from the regular council meeting of October 29th, and then also the minutes from the November 2nd call meeting. We will entertain a motion in regard to that. Quick motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor Garrett.
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor.
Yes.
Councilmember Manning.
Yes.
Councilmember Sewell.
Yes.
Mayor Lambert.
Yes.
Excuse me, can I
Yes, sir.
ask a question?
Sure.
Are we going by the agenda that's in the binder or the agenda that was laying here?
One is fine.
The one that's laying there? So, okay, thank you.
Thank you for pointing that out. I had buried mine under the work session agenda when it was laying on the dais here. At this time, we will entertain communication from citizens who are a resident or business owner here in the city of East Ridge. Have a comment, question, or concern you'd like to bring to the council, this would be your opportunity to do so. We have two microphones here at the front. If you would come forward and state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes. Looks like we do have one who signed up, and after we hear from Mr. Meadows, we'll see if there's anyone else. If you'll come forward. Thanks, sir.
So, Mr. Mayor, thank you for this time and council.
I'm sorry, Glenn.
Yes,
Glenn Meadows, 6521 Ringgold Road.
and that's part of what I was going to say. So, yes, I'm Glenn with Wally's, and so we've at 6521 Ringo Road at the corner of I-75. Next May will be 27 years down here, so we're blessed. Our employees are blessed. So, two things I want to talk about. I'll be real brief. I'm just trying to remind property owners that property owners have the right as a property owner to vote. So a couple years ago, when myself and my wife went to sign up, the lady told us that we were the 29th, only the 29th and the 30th voters in Hamilton County to take advantage of that. We don't live in the city, but they explained to us that with being a property owner that we could vote in our district, and then we could also get the additional ballot vote in East Ridge, so I think it's important that business owners know that and take advantage of that. So the other thing that I want to talk about, it may not be coming to light tonight in lieu of what Mr. Bradley said about tabling, but the upcoming sign ordinance and things related to that. I understand the direction the city's looking at with the moratorium, and I understand the direction that may be going on billboards, but what I'm asking for council to consider, and it may not have changed, I don't really know, it may not have changed at all, but what I'm asking council to consider is that the existing billboards that already are in place, to allow in the future for the owners of those to upgrade those to the LED type. You know, I've got several reasons behind that. I think that with the demand of new businesses and so forth is, that could be coming to East Ridge. I think that the demand for billboard space is going to go up, even though that so I think it's the technology. I just think it's fascinating to see how they can put such unbelievable images up on these up on those LED screens. So I'd just like to ask council if it I don't even know, again, I tried to review exactly what was said in the November 2nd call meeting, but that's unavailable on the internet at this point. So, so going forward, if council could just consider to leave that in place, that we could be able to do an upgrade on existing. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a very good point.
I'd like to ask a clarification. Can we change that? It needs to be about a property owner, business owner, and having the right to own. It has to be in his name only, and not his name in the LLC.
What's the vote?
The vote.
I thought the election commission controlled all that last time I had it.
No.
We made a change to the charter. That was included in the charter.
Charter.
That's right.
Now,
And I don't have a copy of the charter.
So you tell me I can't vote anymore?
no, I'm asking for clarification.
Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll get told
Because
something else.
LLC was mentioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But very good point about the billboards, existing billboards. I think it,
He got it.
certainly something.
He got it.
Okay.
Yeah, wait, wait.
Right to vote all, and this is the latest charter amendments. All qualified voters residing within the limits of the city and all qualified voters who own real estate in their own individual names within the limits of the city are entitled to vote in any municipal election held under the authority of this act. All officials shall be qualified voters and residents of the city. And I think it's Reed can confirm that what we were trying to prevent on that is somebody wanting to, for some bizarre reason, come in and pack the polls on election day, so they form an LLC and they have 50 members, something like that. So again, the charter amendment required that you own property in your own individual name, not under some business. Is that?
That's right, that's what we're doing.
All right. Do we have another?
Matthew Whopper, 706 Iron Lane. I had a couple of things to say about the sign ordinance. Again, I looked, and no one is using an LED sign to display the name of their business. They're not doing it so that people are aware their businesses exist. They're using them for advertising. Every sign in the city is being used that way. And so the idea of requiring them to shut it off if they're not open isn't, I don't think, out of line, because every one of those businesses have two signs. They have a standard regular sign that's lit up, like check into cash, and then they have an LED sign that displays advertising. And the other thing I wanted to let you know is that I found that the University of Cincinnati put together some regulations for governments to use. And some of the things they proposed was actually, instead of it, and Chattanooga has adopted some of those, was that instead of it changing by fading in and fading out, that it be immediate. Because if the sign is set to a particular brightness level, an immediate change won't be harsh on your eyes, where the fading in and fading out is a movement that's distracting to a driver. The other thing that, that's why the city of Chattanooga requires immediate changes, I believe. The other thing is the city of Chattanooga, I think, requires a bright, they specify that the level be dimmed to 30% at night, but then they go further to say a specific volume of light allowed. The University of Cincinnati recommended 5,000 nits, which is how LED light is measured during the day, and 500 at night. That was what they had recommended. And so I think that because signs are only going to get cheaper, and they cost nothing to operate, that it's going to be a problem if we don't address it. The other thing I did was I called like 5 sign companies, and I asked them, is there a cost, like Councilman Manning brought up, to doing any of the things that we're asking them to do? And they said to me, no, because LED signs are computer driven. There's a computer, there's software that's required to feed that image to the sign. And that software can be told to feed it at 0 level brightness, which means the sign is off, or 10% brightness, or whatever. That all of them have that built-in function. Almost all of them have built-in timers. And a couple of the people I were aware of said that they weren't sure about auto-dimming, but they thought that that was a feature. But the software is included even at the base package of sign. The lowest level of sign that they sell comes with it because it's required to drive the sign to begin with. So it wouldn't be an additional, all it would be is an additional level of programming for them to input when they set the sign up. It wouldn't be an additional expense or burden if they chose to buy an LED sign to enact requirements on that sign like have been suggested. The other thing that they suggested was that if a sign malfunctions, that it be required to be shut off, because malfunctioning signs can be glitchy and move, which is again distracting to drivers. And then on a separate note that's not LED related, I find it very interesting that only one business is taking advantage of our grant program. And I wonder, is it possible that it requires the property owner to file for that? Is there any way that maybe we can make it so that if a business has existed in East Ridge for 20 years, but they happen to choose to lease rather than own, that they can't file for that grant with the blessing of the property owner? I mean, because that's going to be a way that a lot of these signs that are old could be updated, could be brought up to where they need to be without the business owner bearing 100% of the expense. But unfortunately, if you're at one of these businesses where, you know, Amigos has been there forever, right? But is the property owner of that strip mall limited to just one grant of $5,000? Is there no way to open that up so that every business in there could potentially, if it's for reasons of updating their signage and improving the Ringgold Road appearance, that they couldn't apply also? I'm just wondering if there's a way to make it easier on the businesses to come into compliance so that they're not asking to be grandfathered in. Because really, if we grandfather in every business on Ringgold Road, it's going to be 35 years before Ringgold Road looks different, you know? But if we make it so that they can take advantage of things we have available, like the grant, we might be able to get Ringgold Road there in half the time. That's just my random thought.
No, I think that it's a valid point there, but I think that it was probably developed because it was brand new. It was probably developed to be a little bit
Stricter.
Yeah, a little strict, because it's always easier to kind of loosen it up a little bit than it would be to try to tighten it up.
Well, it's obviously not the Wild Wild West, because we've had one.
Yeah. Exactly. No, exactly. And so I think there's definitely room to
I
look
was
at
just
it.
wondering, you know, how many people really know about it? I mentioned it to a fellow today who's been in business out here about 40 years, he didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
So he's coming up here and market again.
See, I talked to a couple of people, and their hook was getting their landlord to go do the work, to come here and fill out the paperwork. they would rather their landlord sign off and them handle it all and handle the paying of the construction and whatever. And so that kind of killed it in their eyes. And I just figured, well, maybe they'll eventually convince their landlord.
Thank you very much. That's a very good point. Amanda, I think you wanted to say something to
Mr. Mayor,
this.
do I have any more time left? I have 1 minute.
If you'll hold on just 1 minute. Hold on just 1 minute.
In regards to the facade grant program, I'm the one that actually came up with the language, the original language for it. The reason why property owners have to sign off on it is because they own the property. If a business that's leasing from them makes changes that the property owner may not be adhering to, then it could cause some issues. But I think previous administration just didn't get the word out enough. It's still on the website. It's just not been mentioned enough. So if council wants, that's something we can definitely start putting out there. I know that I think there's only 5 grants of $20,000, and it is a 50-50 match. So the property owner has to be willing to put in half of the money that we will match with them.
Thank you. Good. This is unusual, but yeah, I'll let you do it. That's all right.
Okay, so I am going to be a participant where I'm getting papers for the sign upgrade. But anyway, it's not to rebut, but I just want to put another perspective about Mr. DeGlocker's statement about stating that businesses closed, lights should be turned off. Well, I own an LED that is below my sign, and it is for advertising things that go on at my business. And so to say that I had to turn it off when I'm not there, for example, I choose not to open on Sunday, but a lot of people are driving by. So I paid a lot of money for the property, or if I didn't pay money for the property, I'd be paying a lot of rent. So I'm closed on Sunday. So would the city grant me, would they not charge me property tax on Sunday, because I'm closed on Sunday? Are you going to give me a break on that and tell me I have to close, shut my sign off? So I just want the council to understand that shutting a sign off, I understand the dimming, the driver safety, but to pay the money for an LED and to pay the rent, or for living on Ringo Road and for paying for being in that traffic, and then to meet the specifications for putting up the sign, but then to be governed and say you got to turn it off here, you got to turn it off there because you're closed, I would have to take exception with that. Thank you.
Thank you. And that's just the kind of, frankly, it's kind of information both ways that we need to hear. We like to hear suggestions. It gives us more to think about. It helps us to consider more fully what it is we're attempting to do. Yes, sir. Please come forward and if you'll state your name and address for the record.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
You stated we had 5 grants of $20,000 grant. Well, didn't we add another $50,000 to it in this year's budget, which made it $150,000?
We only have $50,000 budgeted this year, not $150,000.
But we didn't carry over the 100 from last year.
No.
Originally, it was 100,000, and we were having
But it
5
was lowered
grants.
to 50 in this year's budget.
Well, it's definitely something. I think it would probably be a really good idea if this next time, I think it would be good to build up a pot of money that we could use in that way. So if we don't have anyone who asks for it or applies for it this year, then that money would carry over and we would simply build up that money. And maybe that's something we could start with the next budget. Sorry. Yes, sir. Again, please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Brian Murphy. I'm the owner of a sign company on Ringo Road at 5345 Ringo Road. So all this LED talk has, of course, got my interest up. I agree with all of this stuff, that basically the limitations on having it a static for 10 seconds and toning it down in the evening except for turning it off. But my question to you is, what are you going to do when somebody is addressed, one of the owners is addressed, not me, I don't have an LED sign. They're addressed with these rules and they got their permit with no rules. And when they signed up for that LED sign, there was none of these restrictions were around. They may have paid upwards to $25,000 to buy these LED signs and run them the way they were told that they could run them when they purchased them. They may have come to me and said, hey, I want to buy this LED sign, and I told them, there's no restrictions in the city of East Ridge, and at that time there was not. Is the city going to be looking at some problems legally with this ordeal? I know in the city of Chattanooga, when they came up with the LED restrictions, all of those people that currently owned a sign that was an LED were not told that they had to change. Example, Hamilton Place Mall does not go with the rules of Chattanooga on the LED signs. It's still allowed to flash that sign as fast as they want, because when they purchased that sign, there was no rules. The other thing is there going to be any limitations on LEDs put on the inside in the windows of these businesses. Because if you look at the businesses, a lot of them have huge LED signs and they run like crazy. So if you're going to make restrictions on the pole signs, the outside signs, you might as well do the ones in the windows as well.
Are you referring to a scroll sign as an LED sign?
LED sign put in the window, inside.
That scrolls the message across?
Yes, sir. That would be something that you might as well address that at the same time. Because otherwise you're going to have people just putting signs all over inside the windows and switching them around.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I have a question. There were a couple of three maybes in there.
Yeah.
Do you know of anyone that has done this? Rather than a maybe, do you know of anyone
That is not what exactly.
that has purchased an LED and paid, a few $1,000s for it before any of these restrictions were put into place?
Everyone I have sold in the city of East Ridge, people ask how they're operated, and I've instructed them that there are no rules, because there were no rules in the ordinance.
Yeah, well, I believe those would be grandfathered.
Yeah, so that's my question. You have a lot of them that are already up and running. Are they all going to be grandfathered in, or are you going to go to these businesses and say, hey, you got to turn them off now? At night?
So speaking for myself, I would assume that they would be grandfathered if they're already there.
Well, that's my
That's
question.
just my opinion.
And by the way, most of these are all preset from the companies to tone down at 40 to 50% at night anyhow. You may not think that they're toning down, but they do. The brightness goes down about 40 to 50% because it gets dark. They just look bright. But they actually, almost all of them that I've sold, all are able to tone down, like the gentleman said in the software.
I thought you were referring that someone has bought the sign, paid the permit, but they've just not had it installed yet. That's what I thought you were saying.
I do have a customer that way, but I have already talked to Brad, and he's told me the rules that were changing, and that my customer has been informed, and they're okay with it. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else? See no one, we'll move on to communication for council members. Mr. Manning.
Nothing at this time, maybe later.
Mr. Sewell.
I just want to tell everybody that tomorrow night, East Ridge is playing Chattanooga Christian again. Like I said, big crowd out there. They've been playing pretty hard. I guess if they win tonight, it'll be 11-0. We've been having a good crowd, but everybody just can't be there to think about it.
Absolutely. It's an amazing run they're on.
And talking about the LED signs too, it is kind of amazing. It's talking about, I got a call, asked if I had a picture they could put up on a little sign somewhere, and I sent them a file. That thing's huge. I didn't know my camera put up something that big. But and they put it up in 10 minutes. So, these signs can be changed as quickly as they need.
All right, Mr. Cagle.
I just got two things. Anybody that hadn't been to the light show, they need to go see it. It's bigger and better this year. Santa Village is right in the middle of it, so you get a break from driving around it, so you stop going and visit Santa Village. And also, I'd like to thank the code department for checking on Debbie Lane for me. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Gray?
Yeah, the sign ordinance. Someone help me out here on where it is. I know I saw it on here, but I just don't. I see ordinance number 1001 about the billboards. I thought I saw where the sign ordinance was on here again. That actually, the whole sign ordinance itself. Is it not?
Was it item B under new business on the old agenda, the one that's in?
That is where I saw it, okay.
Yeah.
It's no longer on there. That's for billboards.
Sign.
Yeah, that's all inclusive.
Oh, is it? Okay. Rather than making these guys sit around here all night, I'd like to just go ahead and skip to that ordinance, and if that's okay.
I'll be glad to, if we can finish up communication with council and city manager. We'll take that on as the first item of regular business.
Thank you.
Unless there are objections to that. Okay. I mentioned earlier that, of course, the Christmas parade coming up next weekend. We have got a lot of good things going on. A lot of things happening in the city of East Ridge. Busy time. Please do go see the light show. That's a wonderful thing. And this will actually be potentially our last meeting before Thanksgiving, unless this is something that we mentioned at the called meeting, just very, very briefly on the 2nd. We asked about the possibility of Mark Maventock coming to talk to us a little bit about the Board of Region legislation. He has indicated he would be willing to do that, be willing and able to do that November 18th or 19th, which would be next Wednesday or Thursday. I talked to him just before I got here, and he said that he would be more than happy to do that. He would come down in person, so we don't have to worry about as we've done once or twice before, had cell phones, and it was kind of hard to hear him, and it was difficult. He would come here in person. He said he would be willing to do that unless we just wanted to wait until the next regular council meeting, and he would come down for that. He is perfectly fine doing either one, so it's up to council as to what we want to do. He said he would put together a PowerPoint presentation, have various things that he could talk about to really walk everyone through what it is we've got, what it is we can expect to have.
In my opinion, we normally have a pretty packed agenda on council meeting nights. Me personally, I'll be in Nashville on the 18th, so if everyone's available on the 19th, that would be next Thursday.
I have the council room at 5:45 for the parade meeting, and we pack this room out.
Well, we can do
we can do ours back there, and you guys can meet here.
Yeah, it shouldn't take us long, so I would be done probably no later than 6:30 if you meet later than that. Or I can move mine down, whichever.
What do we think?
Are you talking about, where are you meeting at?
In here.
Oh, well, we'll probably have ours back there, I would assume.
I didn't know, because, if you use the screen and everything for PowerPoint, it doesn't take me long. So, I can always move my meeting down to 5:30, and I can be done no later than 6:10.
He said anytime.
That's good for me.
Okay, let's shoot for the 19th if that works for everybody. And let's look
It's
at,
not going to be a call meeting or anything, is it?
it's really just going to be an informational session.
Yeah,
We're not-
we're not voting on anything or taking any action. This is just an informal discussion.
Is the public invited to that?
I would think yes. Absolutely. Yeah, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. So do you want to shoot for maybe 6:15? Amanda said she might be able to get everybody out of the parade meeting.
I will make it a
after, so-
speedy meeting for you.
So if we'll shoot for 6:15. And again, it's just informational. Council won't take action on anything. And that segues a little bit into, I think, something that Mike and Diane have some information for us.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Diane. I'll let you.
Okay, we have gotten our final calculations for the 2015 sales tax. And between the base year of 2012 and 2015, we have had an increase of over $1 million in sales tax. The incentive check will be, that we will be getting is for $739,000.
That's excellent, folks. To think that's without really the Walmart numbers factored in. That's without any of the really new development coming in. It's fantastic news. So, I'm sure Mark Mevitov will want to talk to us a little bit about that. Appreciate the work that Mike, you put in, Diane, everyone who's had a hand in having to crunch those numbers and go back and forth. I know there's a lot of dialogue that takes place between us and the state, and again, we're grateful for all of the work you've done, and it's only going to get better from here. Do you have anything else?
That's all I've got.
Okay. All right. And with that, we will